So this is A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. And this is an award-winning book as well. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school sometimes, I go to meet her there. Then, her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time I peel all the onions for the onion soup. When I'm finished, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and she pays me. And every time I put half of my money into a jar. Here's a picture of what she does. It takes a long time to fill the jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all her change from her tips out of her purse for me to count, and then we push all of the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I count the money out into piles, and some days she has lots of tips. Some days she has only a little, and then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes in to the jar. Oh, there she is sleeping. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings, and they go into the jar. Ooh. When we get a single other coin in the jar, we are going to take out all the money and go buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered with velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chairs burned up, and there's a big fire in our other house. All our chairs burned, and so did our sofa, and so did everything else that wasn't such a long time ago. Oh, look. Mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals, and she had new pumps. So pumps are like heels. Okay. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked red tulips, and I was saying I liked yellow ones. And then we came to our block. So think about the setting, and you might not know this, but maybe somebody in your house knows this. If there are tulips, it's typically spring. So I know a little bit more about the weather. They still have sweaters on, which makes sense. Oh no. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand, and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandmother?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here! She's here! She's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her. But everything else in the whole house was spoiled. The cat was hiding in the trash can. Aw, look at her looking inside. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. They were able to move into an apartment downstairs. Then we were able to move into an apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were shiny. But the rooms were very empty. Oh. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream, and they brought a lot of other things too. A family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed for when his children were little. My grandmother, brought us a beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, had made us red and white curtains. Mother's boss, Josephine, brought pots and pans and silverware and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. That's very sweet, isn't it? Everyone clapped when Grandma made a speech. You are all the kindest people, she said, and we thank you very much, very much. It's lucky we're young and can still start over. That was last year. Ooh, that's a long time. We still have no sofa and no big chairs. And when Mama comes home, her feet hurt. There's no good place for me to take the load off my feet, she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can in a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started to go into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full, Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for nickels, dimes, and quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them all up. And on my Mother's Day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills, and then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair. And they're trying them out, aren't they? I don't see the one they wanted yet. We shopped through four furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and small ones, high chairs and low ones, soft chairs and harder ones. And I'm going to make a text-to-text connection to Goldilocks and the Three Bears, how she tried different ones and they're soft, too hard, and just right. Let's see if she can find a just right one. And look, Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks and the Three Bears trying out all the chairs. I didn't see that, but I still made that connection beforehand. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy, who came right down to pick up the chair. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. Look, they found it! I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit there while they carried it up to the door. Oh, this is perfect. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took a picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her, and she can reach right up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. So here they are all together, making silly faces like we do sometimes. Okay, so this week's problem and solution. So, which are part of story elements that we need. So remember, we also need the character and the setting as we go. The problem is their house burnt down and they didn't have chairs or a sofa. The solution is, for a year, Mama and the little girl and Grandma saved all of the spare change to buy a chair at the furniture store. So we have the furniture store, but we also have the house. So I have two settings. I have our characters, and then again, if you're doing it on a piece of paper, you would be able to add a picture if you'd like. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this and it helps you out with problem and solution.